course, in terms of compliances in India, yes, it is least regulated sector, I would say. But there is another angle to it, because this is the sector which got exposed to the global compliance system compared to, apart from pharma, I do not see any other sector which has so much of exposure to the global compliance system. So having experience in handling the global compliances, I would make one point here that in terms of number of compliances, Indian compliance system and global compliance system is not very different. There are many compliances even in many other jurisdictions. But what makes us complex? I think there are a couple of points which are making our system complex. First and foremost is the predictability and simplicity. Because the way laws are drafted, regulations are drafted outside India, those are very predictable, those are not changed very often and very simple to understand. Now, if you will see in India, if we see one regulation now, within 1 year, you will see so many clarifications, so many notification, follow-up notifications to it. And each clarification will ultimately make the regulation more difficult to understand. So that is the system here. Those are very simple to understand outside India. Here in India, one more problem is there is a lot of discretion given to the enforcement agencies or the regulators, where the interpretation of particular compliance has been left to the regulators to interpret. So ultimately, we have to approach the regulators or we have to rely upon the interpretation of the regulators. That brings in an element of uncertainty, and usually foreign investors don't like it. And the most important point, which you have also covered beautifully in your book, is the criminality attached to it. So their approach of the regulator is like this, that the citizens are the persons who are breaching the law, or they are the criminals. So even for simply, till very recently, even if I don't pay my CSR contribution, that was also a criminal offense, and there is a chance that compliance officer would end up in jail. So there are many such non-compliances or breaches which were mindlessly classified under the criminal breaches. So that is the point. And again, I would say that Indian compliance in terms of writing of the laws is also sometimes very difficult, very complex to understand for the citizens. So and that is something I think that makes the compliance in India very difficult than the global compliances.